Let's talk Wade Hampton basketball. And we back. Welcome back to another episode of the Get Buckets podcast powered by Harwood Inc. Basketball. I'm your host, Musa Marathi. Now, yesterday night, Wade Hampton actually lost in a crushing defeat to Lancaster Bruins in the third round of the 4A playoffs. And I just wanted to come on here and just talk about them because they had an underrated season, I feel like, and I feel like I should highlight it and just talk about it overall. First and foremost, Wade Hampton finished 15-8 overall record wise. So I mean, they won a good amount of games. They didn't play a bunch of games. They only played, what would that be, 23 games. So they didn't play the maximum games, but they won. They won a lot, and just the adversity that they faced. I mean, they started the season off, I think, like 3-3, 4-4, and they really turned it up in the later parts. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the most recent games. First off, Lancaster, and no shade to Lancaster at all. Lancaster has been a very strong team throughout all season. I've been talking about them all season, but I gotta mention just the fouls. I mean, I've talked to a few of the Wade Hampton players, and it seemed a bit one sided. And I know I shouldn't be discrediting. I know refs have a very difficult job. They may have to make calls in the split second of a moment, but 3 out of 5 starters fouling out for Wade Hampton. It seemed a bit sketch. Cooper, Nikel, and Katie all fouling out this game. I heard Lancaster shot 33 free throws, which is just crazy overall. I mean, I mean, congrats to Lancaster. They're upper state bound, and they definitely have the talent to go far. But I just wish this game didn't come down to that. I wish we would have been able to see the best players on both teams be able to be out there playing on the court all at once instead of just finishing it how it did. And even with this, Wade Hampton only lost by about 9 points, I believe. So it wasn't a bad defeat, but I mean, Coop even told me, because he's going to play football in college at Citadel. And I mean, this was his last game. And to be fouled out and I can't say it was all him because the other night he probably didn't even have 2 fouls. So, I mean, to get fouled out on your last game and know you can't really do anything to help your team out there, really just, it hurts. It hurts. I'm not going to act like it wouldn't. But moving on from that game, we gotta get back ramped up. The West Side game. I was in attendance at this one. I already had talked to a few people about it, but this one was fun because Wade Hampton actually started this game down 7-0 within like a minute and a half. And I mean, I was like, whew, this might be, I don't know how this one will go. They might, West Side have been a very strong team all season, and I was kind of nervous for them. But they were down, I think, 18-11 after the first quarter. But that second quarter, very big quarter for Wade Hampton. They actually got the lead. And once they got the lead, they did not lose it. I mean, I was even talking about how Nikel, instead of trying to dribble through the defense, he would just catch it in the paint and go straight up. They couldn't stop him, and it really worked. And their defense also very solid. I feel like in the second half, Westside really couldn't get in any exact rhythm and just was really distorted on offense because of Wade Hampton's defense. And CJ stepped up that game, bringing a lot of presence on the interior. Really, really, I mean, I'm not saying he worked Josiah, but he made Josiah work, if you know what I mean. Um, Coop played hard, made some very key buckets, made a shot over Zeke Marshall that I don't know how it went in, but tough bucket there. KD really handled the ball well the whole game. And that was a very big game because, like I had even said, Westside was, I believe, 25-2 going into this game and had just come off of a 40-point victory in round one. So great game by Wade Hampton, winning this one by about 13 and even getting some other guys in near the end of the game. Thomas Combs did come in the first half, but besides him, those first 5 guys really stepped up and put it together. South Point game, round one game. They won by about 10. Don't really know much about it, so I'm not going to talk about this one. But they did win the first round game at Wade Hampton versus South Point, and probably a good victory there. I mean, they got it done. Next thing I really want to talk about is their 7-game win streak. And this is where it all happened, man. I mean, I said they had started off 4-4, and they didn't go on the 7-game win streak immediately after this. But in the middle of the season, kind of region, I think it was after the Greer loss where they lost by about 25. So it was a bad loss. But after this Greer loss, they started winning a lot of games. Oh, after the Burns loss where they lost by 9, they went and played Lawrence, won by 25. It was all up from there. So they won their first game on January 13th, didn't lose again till February 7th. So almost a month long of wins. And that can really build a team's confidence, and it definitely did for Wade Hampton this season. Next key point from this season I want to bring up is the fact that they beat 5A Somerville in a Christmas tournament. And this is I know a lot of people might not know Somerville since they're a lower state school, but Somerville has been excellent this season, 25-4. And one of those 4 losses comes from Wade Hampton. You know, Wade Hampton used to be 5A, so, you know, I wouldn't stress about it too much. But now Wade Hampton's 4A. And, I mean, Somerville being one of the best 5A, they have bodies. They have 5A state player, 5A player of the year, Yannick Smith. They have Melvin Teal. They have guys. And Wade Hampton able to win this game by 4 points back in December was just huge and really, really might have gotten overlooked. I feel like this is a really good win that they had in their season. I believe Nikel, I'm not exactly sure on the stats from this game because it was so long ago, but I feel like he had a really good game against them because I remember seeing something. And that's why I even said he had a good season all the way through. But just had to shout out that game. I mean, Somerville, very strong team. Now let's talk about region, man. Region, they finished 6-2 overall, tied for first with Greer, so they got co-region champs. Just some key points from this: the game winner over Riverside from KJ with like 7 seconds left. Talked about that one. Game-winning layup by CJ over Eastside at Eastside when they were down by 6 with about 19 seconds left, and Nikel hit a huge 3 in that game. Trevor hit a huge 3 in that game. Just really clutch down the stretch. They got Greer back when they played them the second time after losing by about 20. They got him back and won by like 10. So that was another very big game for them. But yeah, really just controlled all the way through. Beat Lawrence twice. Did lose to Riverside on a tough game winner, but didn't let it phase them. Really, that was all I had from region 6-2, and really brought it turned up in region, finishing or tying for first this year. Next, I want to talk about some individual players. First up, gotta talk about Nikel Franklin for all state. Really put on for this county this season. Really stepping up. Last year, I don't even believe he made all region. So the fact that he was able to make all state this year as a senior was huge. And I mean, I could see it when I watched him. He was dominant out there and really gets to his spots well. Doesn't shoot threes very often and is just great at getting downhill, catching the ball in a place where he's able to score, giving his team, and also has ferocious defense because, I mean, long, athletic, can get it done basically. The other 2 players that got all region for their team, Cooper Tankersley and CJ Okadigwe, they both got all region. And I mean, for good measure, I think Coop got it last year as well, him and Chris Abercrombie. But CJ talked about him all season, talked about how he made the game winner over Eastside, had some huge moments and just their senior season really put on for Wade Hampton. I mean, it was their last ride, and they made the most of it, I feel like, and really played well in region. I can't tell you how many times I saw Coop almost get a double-double with like 15 points and 8 assists, or CJ constantly getting double-doubles at like, 6'3", not even a very tall big man, but just athletic and uses his plays to his confidence. Also, I do want to mention Trevor as the other senior. Didn't get a lot of recognition. I never really talked about him, but knockdown shooter, and he made some key threes even against Westside when I watched him play. And then the other starter, Katie Owens, he will be the only starter returning for next year, going in as a senior next year. Held it down. Not really a natural point guard, I feel like. I mean, he can play point guard, don't get me wrong, but I feel like he always usually plays the two, and he held it down from the point guard position, especially for Wade Hampton this season. So last year didn't play a lot, but did get in some here and there. This year played a lot of minutes and took full advantage of it. So shout out to all of them. Their bench, of course, always finding their role, cheering them on, and going in when times of need. Like I said, KJ hit that big three against Riverside, so it wasn't all just starters. Um, then the last thing I had to mention is just how this team this year, I feel like, is bringing back winning for Wade Hampton. Now, I know they have 3 seniors leaving, but culture is huge in basketball. And I think the seniors leaving the mark that they did this season will really affect the future and what they have in store because um, last year they finished 4th in region, which they were 5A, and they were in a very tough region. But they finished 4th, had about the same record, but I think an extra loss. But they did lose first round in the playoffs last year. Didn't even get past the first round. Lost to Malden in the first round last year. And then in 2021, really bad season. They did have guys like Judd Cohen who could really hoop, but coming off of COVID, 2021 was rough. I think they went around like 4-14. But I say they're bringing back winning because in 2020 they made it to Upper State, and I believe even before that they had made it to Upper State the years prior to that. So they knew how to win, and I think they're finally finding that once more. And I feel like that's a huge part in what Nikel brought to the table and all the seniors and just everyone on this team and buying in and playing their role. I even talked to Chris Abercrombie at the beginning of the season, and he was like, man, if Nikel wants to average 20, he could go and average 20. And that's exactly what he went and did. So, I mean, shout out to him for making it happen. I'm glad he was able to just keep his head straight, lock in, and make it work, you know. And this was definitely a special group of guys, and it should not go unnoticed. But that will complete this video, and I can't wait to see what else to come in these playoffs. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.